Welcome, inquisitive souls. I'm your host, Cyan, and thank you for tuning in to the Age of Alchemy podcast. Episode 8 is called The Choice. The truth about our civilization is that it is kept alive by the single, nearly invisible, often unremembered choices of individual human beings. Said by the poet David Whyte. What is this liveliness that Whyte speaks of, the one that is kept alive by our choices? Why is it kept alive by our choices? Do these choices go unremembered, as he says, because of the lack of awareness we have of our individual impact on the grander scale of things? Does the sum of our world truly come down to the individual and collective choices we make? Where does destiny fit into all of this? Does it fit at all? Has the butterfly effect been forgotten? The closer I pay attention to my own actions and the role they play in the animation or function of this machine, the more and more perplexed I become by the very thought of free will itself. But also, the more responsibility I feel, rushing through my veins like a transmitted electric spark that also gives me life. I hate to sound bleak, but the very act of me being alive is because I want to be. I want to be. Because I feel a boundless calling to be of service and of goodness in a world that seems to be lacking both. I would be lying if I said I didn't feel an immense responsibility to live up to my potential. Sometimes questioning what that potential is almost pointless. But being aware of my actions, the way they intertwine with the world's progress or dismay, creates a sense of duty I am certain I need to keep alive. Things almost always seem uncertain, politically, economically, culturally. In fact, all of the above are interchangeable, and we know that they have all merged into a giant steaming pile of shit. Politics in today's world, in my opinion, are really no different than years past. There are two teams. Well, really there's about 5, but we all know the two I'm speaking of because anytime there is an election or frenzy around political events, it's almost as if participating in the nasty division that takes place is a prerequisite for participating at all. There's almost no room for nuance and absolutely zero space for speaking of the fact that it could all very well be an enormous distraction. I will say, however, that it seems obvious to me that people are growing more and more tired of the bantering of who is right or wrong, trying out simplistic living and aiming to protect their peace and freedom of thought because, God forbid, you're one of those people who seek a little plot of land, some chickens, and are working on writing a book. A person with dreams in a world full of nightmares. You don't fit in anywhere. The corporate world sees you as eccentric, and the political parties see you as a conspiracy theorist who is part of the problem. Perhaps you espouse some of these belief systems, or perhaps you don't. Regardless, there is a method to your madness. A method we shall call our choices. The variety of choices, all waiting to be picked up off the shelves at the grocery store, amplified with goods to scroll through on our phones or computers, choices of places to eat, jobs on Indeed, snacks at the gas station, people to spend time with, how we spend our time. How much time do we spend waiting to make a decision? Stagnant, unsure, floating in the abyss of the choice cloud, imagining but not doing. We most likely all know this feeling of being in the choice cloud, instead of being. Eric Gotze masterfully describes this state as being in the wasteland, doubting ourselves, feeling inadequate, frankly, depressed as shit. I call some variation of this the choice cloud because of the comfort it comes with. If I just stay here, where it's cozy and all things are somewhat steady, I won't need to make a decision because decisions breed change, and change is an itchy sweater I don't want to wear. For a moment, find yourself amongst the stars, amongst the chaos of the cosmos, dodging asteroids, dancing with the impermanence of cyclical songs. You'll realize it's not a moment, it's eternity. Because even in the void of space, change is a spark that calls for you to choose. As far as we know, humans are the only species who can choose to sit down, breathe, visualize an invention, pick up a tool, build it, and fucking decorate it. What is this hidden power? How the hell is it at our fingertips at every millisecond of every day? And why does it inherently lead us into new lives to be lived that if not chosen, that reality would have never existed? The power of free will, the origin of it, the smile it secretly brings to us when no one is looking, the dread it secretly brings to us when no one is looking, a dichotomy of joining the dark side or light side because, let's be honest, sometimes both are equally as attractive. Because either way, you are claiming your place in the universe. But let's simplify, because today I was told, you don't have to solve the world's problems, Cyan. Perhaps I do, but for a second, let's pretend like I don't. Because frankly, I sometimes can't even choose to react to things in a calm manner. And this has led me down what seems to be an endless fucking shit show of living a life that doesn't align with my true purpose. Several years ago, I was introduced to one of the greatest minds who emphasized the power of thoughts and beliefs. To some, he might seem idealistic, however, his approach is grounded in practical advice and actionable steps. His ideas are more about harnessing the power of positive thinking to achieve tangible goals, rather than espousing a broader philosophical idealism about the nature of reality or existence. I know I idealize philosophical idealism about the nature of reality or existence, but sometimes less is more, and Napoleon Hill understood this simplistic sentiment. He said, "You are the master of your own destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be." Through empowerment and self-actualization, this quote suggests a profound belief in the power of individual agency and self-determination. This perspective aligns with a transcendental view where personal consciousness and inner strength are seen as capable of shaping reality. It implies that, beyond external circumstances, individuals have an inherent ability to transcend their current situation through mental and emotional mastery. Control over one's fate. By asserting that you can control and direct your own environment, this quote also implies a transcendence over external factors. It promotes the idea that one's inner state and choices can rise above the limitations imposed by external conditions, which can be seen as a form of transcending ordinary experiences and constraints. The concept of free will has always fascinated me, but also terrified me. This pressure we put on ourselves to choose the right path, quote unquote, or do the right thing, is often complicated by the relentless uncertainty and the weight of expectations, both of our own and of others. It seems as though every decision carries an invisible burden of fear that one misstep could derail our lives or lead us astray from some ideal destiny. Yet, in this complexity, there lies a deeper truth. The struggle with choice and the quest for correctness can obscure the more profound freedom that exists in embracing our own unfolding journey. Perhaps the essence of free will is not in the exactness of each choice, but in our willingness to engage fully with the unknown and navigate the labyrinth of life with authenticity and courage. It's in finding peace, not by controlling every outcome, but by accepting the fluidity of existence and learning to dance with its uncertainties. From the standpoint of destiny, irrationality might be seen as an anomaly or deviation from the expected path. If everything is predetermined, then seemingly irrational actions could be viewed as part of a grand design, even if they don't align with the conventional logic or reasoning. In this sense, what appears irrational might simply be an aspect of the predetermined plan. Irrationality can serve as a bridge between destiny and free will by illustrating how human behavior might defy logical expectations but still fit within a predetermined schema. It highlights the unpredictability of human actions while also suggesting that these actions could be part of a larger plan or design. In essence, irrationality complicates the binary view of destiny and free will by demonstrating that human behavior can be erratic and unpredictable, yet still somehow fit into a larger framework of fate or destiny. As the Greeks would say, Amor Fati, the love of fate. Control. How much do we really have? Control is not merely about imposing our will upon the external world. Rather, it's a recognition of the supreme power within, the realization that the inner dominion over our own consciousness is the true source of all external manifestations. To control is to understand that every experience, every event, every circumstance is but a reflection of our own state of being. Causality, on the other hand, is often misunderstood in the traditional sense. It is not the chain of events that determine our fate, but rather our own imaginal acts, our own states of assumption, that shape the causative forces in our lives. We must understand that causality is not something that happens to us, but something that happens through us. I'll say that again. We must understand that causality is not something that happens to us, but something that happens through us. Upon reflection of my own inner tensions on the matter, the control we speak of is not about exerting power over the external, it's about aligning ourselves with the divine imagination, the ultimate cause of all effects. When you truly grasp that causality originates within you, you discover that control is not an active force, but a harmonious alignment with the external creative power that resides within you. To master control is to master causality. Recognizing that by controlling our inner state, we become the true causative agents of our own experience. The external world merely reflects what is already established within our own imagination. So what's stopping us? Truly. Fear. I'm going to quote someone I deeply connect to, my favorite writer, Franz Kafka, on the matter of fear. I am constantly trying to communicate something incommunicable, to explain something inexplicable, to tell about something I only feel in my bones and which can only be experienced in those bones. Basically, it is nothing other than this fear that we have so often talked about. But fear spread through everything. Fear of the greatest as of the smallest, fear, paralyzing fear of pronouncing a word. Although this fear may not only be fear, but also a longing for something greater than all that is fearful. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone describe this ominous feeling we're all too familiar with so perfectly. This fear, however, is not merely a paralyzing force. It is also a deep-seated yearning for something transcendent, something greater that lies beyond our fearful perceptions. What I'm striving to share with you is a truth that defies the limitations of words and reason. It is an experience, that resides deep within our very being, a sensation that can only be felt in the core of our existence. This is not just any fear, but a profound and all-encompassing dread that touches every facet of our lives, whether it be grand or minute, tangible or abstract. This fear is not merely a negative force, rather it is a longing, a deep, inner craving for something far beyond our current understanding. It is a quest for a reality that surpasses our fears, an aspiration for a greater truth that transcends our most profound anxieties. When you find yourself entangled in the rat race, competing for validation or material gain, remember that this too is an illusion. It represents a dualistic struggle within your own mind, where you are pitted against a false sense of limitation and scarcity. To transcend this, recognize that you are not bound by these external pressures. You possess the power to redefine your experience from within, shifting from competition to cooperation, from scarcity to abundance. Next time you are overwhelmed with the idea of infinite choices, how they interplay with the motion or direction your life goes, and the way your life interjects with the natural order. Next time you catch yourself about to make a decision based on fear. Next time something or someone attempts to convince you that you are about to make the most important decision of your life because in some way propelling them forward will do the same for you. Keep in mind something very simple. A truth that unfortunately so-called leaders want you to forget. There's only ever two choices: fear or love. On that note, I want to end today's episode with the monologue Bill Hicks would end each of his shows with. Life's like a ride in an amusement park, and when you go on it, you think it's real because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round and has thrills and chills, and it's very bright in color and it's very loud and it's fun for a while. Some have been on the ride for a long time and they begin to wonder and say, hey, is this real or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered and they come back to us and say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid ever because this is just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up, I've got a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. This has to be real. It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try to tell us that. You ever notice that? They let the demons run amok. But it doesn't matter, because it's just a ride, and we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. Just a choice right now between fear and love. As always, my dear inquisitive souls, thank you so much for listening and today watching. As you can tell, this episode is unique from ones prior as I took my time with installing video content. I can understand that a lot of people, myself included, resonate and learn more from visual representations. So I hope episode 8 was worth the wait. That being said, stay tuned for episode 9, called The Promise. I love you all. God bless.